Hi, I'm Kate from InVigorate, and today we're going to look at things we can do when sitting on a gym ball. So the gym ball is a great tool for rehabilitating our spines, basically. It's a really nice way of reintroducing a sense of where we are in space, so our proprioception through our trunk, helping with pelvic stability, pelvic awareness, even further up into our rib cage, our shoulders and our neck. So this is really important in order that we can carry ourselves as effortlessly as possible. And I may have discussed this with you in session, but we often end up with too much muscle activity because our body just doesn't know where we are in space. So by re-educating the finer points of where we are in space and improving how our body listens to itself, we can ensure that when our body does create muscle activity to carry us, it's as effortless as possible and we're not getting that excessive bracing that leads to pain, stiffness and things like that. So a really important part of our toolbox when it comes to rehabilitating our backs. So I'm going to talk you through just the basic finding yourself in the right position, and then ways of challenging things, ways of making things more difficult, and ultimately having a bit of fun whilst rehabbing. So let me just tilt you down a bit so you can see what we're up to. You can see my feet as well. Okay, so first of all, we're going to get ourselves in the right position. So I'm going to turn sideways to demonstrate this. So when we're sitting on a gym ball, we need to be sitting on rather than in the gym ball. Now this is on the very edge of being a little bit too small for me, this ball, because can you see that my knees are about the same height as my hips? Ideally, I'd be very slightly higher up, okay? So when you're thinking about gym ball size, you want to be thinking about a gym ball that's big enough. So this is probably a poorly inflated 65 centimetre and I'm about 5'11". So definitely go for 65 centimetre inflated well if you're taller than that. So when we're thinking about our position, we want to have both feet flat on the ground. We want to have our knees at 90 and our hips at 90 ideally. So we're going to just have a little think about our pelvic position. And we may have talked through pelvic neutral. So we might practice rolling our pelvis backwards, rolling it forwards, and this can feel quite different on a ball compared to sitting on a stable surface. And then we're going to find our halfway point. Now I might have talked to you about imagining a line up the front of your body and a line down the back of your body and finding a position where those lines feel equally lengthened. And we might use our balloon attached to the crown of our head or our bunny ears growing longer as an ability to just de-weight everything and maybe activate our deeper core muscles. Now simply sitting on the gym ball will activate your core muscles in a way that sitting on a stable surface wouldn't. So just by sitting here, you're already working that little bit harder. You may also find that if your spine or if your back muscles fatigue quite quickly, then you might find that you'll only tolerate being on here for a short period of time. Listen to your back, listen to what your back's telling you, and you can always give yourself a bit of a stretch out or take rests if you need to. You should find that as you're doing this, that your stamina improves gradually as you get more used to doing it. So we're going to think about how to balance things first of all. So first of all, I'm just going to put my feet next to each other. Now that in itself makes me work a little bit harder. With all of these exercises, you can challenge yourself more by crossing your arms across your chest or by closing your eyes. And I'm already having to concentrate quite a lot more to balance here. Now we might bring our feet slightly wider again. We might start to lift alternate heels. Can you do that staying long through front and back of your body? Can you do that whilst keeping that balloon engaged? We're just going to alternate. Now I might see, can I lift one foot? That's a lot harder because we're managing the weight of our leg. And swap over. And we can use our balloon or bunny ears to help to stabilise us. Now obviously with my arms in, that's a lot more difficult. And I'm starting to wobble now. Now from there we could try, can we take a step outwards and then back? Can we stay stable whilst we're doing it? Okay, can we now do a little bit of a diagonal? So can we add a little bit of extra challenge into things? Okay, now you might find that now we want to just move to the side a little bit. Can I just side shift? So now we're asking our body to stabilise that a little bit more. And if I turn sideways, I'll show you a step forwards. So keeping our front and back lines lengthened, can I take a step forwards and then backwards? Step forwards and then backwards. I may have given that to you if you have a knee issue. It's really good for getting quads activated. I might bring my knees wide, keeping my front and back lines lengthened, finding my pelvic neutral, whichever works for you. I'm now going to point out along my thigh bones, point out through my kneecaps basically. Should be pointing over my second toe. I'm then going to transfer my weight straight forwards over that leg and then push back. You'll feel your muscles activate to bring me back in again. Now I'm going to do that without leaning. I'm going to just carry my pelvis straight forwards and then back again. That's up to my glutes and up to my torso and my knees to manage. Okay? So that's a really nice one as well. Now any of these can be made more difficult by bouncing. So when I'm launching up and then landing again, I'm activating my core muscles slightly more again. So we're adding that extra level of challenge. However, it's also quite fun as well. So we could be doing this and hovering one leg, making my leg work, making my hip work, making my pelvis work a lot harder. So that's one way we could do a step out and in. So that's another way we could do our diagonals. So you can see how I'm layering extra levels of challenge onto things, making you work that little bit harder, okay? To some extent, as long as you're kind of working with the same principles, thinking about keeping front and back lines lengthened, using your balloon or bunny ears, you can't really go far wrong, so feel free to make it up. But we're just starting to rehabilitate, we're just starting to play around with different ways of rehabilitating our spines, starting to build that strength and stamina that's going to carry us effortlessly throughout the day. Now, as always, if you have any things that need troubleshooting, any questions, any queries, you can always just get in touch with me via email. I'm always happy to help. And enjoy. Take care.